Yo, what's good? We're back with another one.
It's showtime.
Right here, on the border between France and Switzerland, is the biggest science experiment ever built. It's this huge tunnel, over 100 meters underground and 27 kilometers long, running under nearby homes and businesses and farms. And inside that tunnel, scientists put a long blue tube big enough to crawl through. And inside that tube, they put two pipes that they keep colder and emptier than outer space. And down those pipes, they fire particles smaller than atoms in opposite directions, pushing them faster and faster and faster until, when they're almost at the speed of light, they smash together, sending subatomic debris flying off into this massive detector. This underground particle smasher took thousands of people from over 100 different countries, $5 billion, and over 30 years to plan and build. My question was, why?
Because they're fucking crazy, bro. They're trying to open a portal.
Thought they were trying to break the simulation.
CERN is an international body of scientists that have developed the largest Hadron Collider in history. It is a 17-mile, 300 feet underground tube that's designed to put particles in opposite directions going at 7 miles an hour under the speed of light and then collide them, which is extraordinarily difficult. It's like shooting a bow and arrow at 100 yards away from your opponent and hitting the tips just perfectly where they explode. That's what they're trying to do. And why are they trying to do this? Because they believe if they can get these particles to go at the speed of light and eventually come and collide with one another, then they will discover what's called the antimatter, or the dark matter of what is holding together matter to begin with. They know it's there, like gravity's there, but you can't really see it. They know it's there, but they have never been able to capture it. They call it the God particle. They want to discover what's holding this universe together, ladies and gentlemen, but they want to find the God particle. And in that process, there's a lot of danger that's been speculated around this particular instrument, because this entire instrument and this practice has the potential of creating miniature black holes. Now, they say there's nothing wrong with that. It's not going to happen. And even if it is, they're microscopic and there's no problem, but they've never done it before. So how do you know that a microscopic wormhole won't pull the entire United States, or the entire world, I should say, into it, and off we go?
It does seem a bit reckless.
They're opening the gateway to hell, bro.
3, 2, 1, 0. Nothing. Yes, sir.
This is it. 14 years and $10 billion in the making for a flash of light on a computer screen. But it's no ordinary blip. This is the first particle beam to circle the Large Hadron Collider, also known as the Big Bang Machine. The first step in recreating the first moments after the Big Bang and unlocking the secrets of the universe.
There are tons of conspiracy theories floating around CERN and the Large Hadron Collider, spanning from the Mandela effect, time travel, and all the way to ripping holes in the fabric of reality. People have speculated on the true purpose of the machine, taking billions of dollars to finance and over 10,000 scientists' years of research and labor to construct. This machine can be considered the holy grail to the scientific community and invaluable in the hands of the right individual. Now, back to the video. Conspiracies run rampant around CERN and the LHC. People speculate that the firing of the Large Hadron Collider in 2012 coincides with the Mayan calendar marking the end of the world. Scientists are sending plasma through these wormholes that are being created to change the weather in certain areas of the world, creating earthquakes and tsunamis to ravage communities they see fit, or that they are attempting to shift our world onto an alternate timeline, changing the course of reality itself. But, by far the most nefarious theory is that these scientists are trying to open a gateway to hell, attempting to allow passage of demons and other entities into our realm of being. The occultists merging with the scientific community to create a bizarre sci-fi nightmare.
They're all Satanists, bro.
I think they're just scientists, mate.
So, why all this effort just to hit two particles into each other? Well, In quantum mechanics, there is a state of superposition, meaning that the quantum system can be in multiple states at the same time until it is measured, i.e., Schrödinger's cat. You don't know whether the cat in the box is alive or dead, or in any other circumstances until you observe or measure the outcomes. This means that all outcomes exist in a quantum realm or another dimension until the observer affects the system. The Large Hadron Collider smashes the particles that prove the existence of these dimensions. By smashing the particles, the observers can create new particles called hadrons that can only exist in our universe for a split second but originate from the quantum realm. Finding just one of these particles would validate the existence of another dimension. The scientists at CERN have already found 59. The Large Hadron Collider can create micro black holes when these particles collide. The belief is that these black holes are so tiny in mass that they would instantaneously evaporate or leave only a very weakly interacting residue. However, this could result in negative repercussions for us now or down the line. Black holes by nature are unstable. Their gravitational pull is so strong that literally nothing can escape it. No particles, not even light. Creating micro versions of these may not be the best idea. We are still unsure of the consequences of dealing with this unpredictable, volatile matter, or what could be created or transported to this dimension from these rips in the space-time continuum.
They caused all the Mandela effect, bro.
It's just people having false memories. But the Fruit of the Loom logo did have a cornucopia in it.
Many claim that CERN's experiments are unlocking something darker than just subatomic particles. Well, let's start with the statue of Shiva. Shiva is the Hindu god of destruction. Some think it's a sign that CERN is tapping into ancient occult powers. There was a bizarre performance where over 600 people, including individuals dressed as goats, winged creatures, and what some claim are demonic figures, all engaged in a series of ritualistic scenes. Then there's a shocking video that went viral that showed what appeared to be a ritualistic human sacrifice. They point to CERN's logo, claiming it hides the number 666, the number of the beast. Now, regarding the Shiva statue, Shiva's dance, which represents the cosmic cycles of creation and destruction, and the CERN logo, it represents a simplified schematic of particle accelerators and beamlines.
Told you, bro. They're not scientists. They're Satanists.
Yeah, the 666 in the logo is a bit weird.
CERN is the Large Hadron Collider. It's the largest machine in the world. It's out of Switzerland, and they speed up particles close to the speed of light. Basically, in essence, creating wormholes, in my opinion. That's what they're doing. They're creating wormholes. And that's how they discovered the God particle, the symbolism, right? I think as they were conducting these experiments, and there's their logo, 666, right? They're trying to figure out how the universe was created, right? Why do they have a statue of a pagan goddess on their facility, a statue of Shiva? Shiva is used in the Hindu faith to destroy, destruction for construction, meaning destroy the existing so that Brahman can come and rebuild. This machine has the ability to unravel the entire universe. Okay, that's the type of technology you're playing with, that you could literally destroy the universe, unravel it completely. I would simply state, if you look at the rituals that they've done, they have the ceremony they did in the tunnel, demonic shit, bro. Okay, dressing with goat horns and naked women. What does this have to do with science? World leaders were there.
That ceremony was for a train station, not for CERN.
Trust me, bro. They're connected.
In the stillness of night, deep within the grounds of CERN, the home of the Large Hadron Collider, a chilling scene unfolds. Cloaked figures gather beneath the towering statue of Shiva, the Hindu god of destruction and rebirth. Their movements are deliberate, ceremonial. One figure kneels, another lies motionless on the ground. Then, silence. The footage ends. No public explanation, no investigation. Just quiet denial and a video that was never meant to be seen. Why perform an ancient ritual at the very site where scientists are tearing through the veil of reality itself? What door were they trying to open? They say CERN is just about science, but rituals like this raise a darker question. What if they've already made contact with something on the other side?
They don't look like scientists to me, bro.
I'm pretty sure the ritual was a prank.
Okay, it looks like it's time to make another video about this. Let's talk rituals at CERN, and I'm not just talking about the coffee I need to drink before I start coding. So when people say this, they usually mean one of two things. So the first one is the fake sacrifice that was done by some students. They were pulling a prank and it went further than they thought it would do.
So a bunch of them bought some robes online. They went out in the middle of the night. They filmed a steak sacrifice video, put it up on YouTube, and just thought it'd be a bit funny for a few people. And it went viral. But it was a prank. There were no sacrifices happening at CERN. And the second one is the Gotthard Train Tunnel. Now, this is a new tunnel that was dug through a mountain in Switzerland. And people see Switzerland tunnel and think CERN. It was an actual ceremony. I'll put a picture of it here. But it was, for this train tunnel, it has nothing to do with CERN. It was a bit weird, but it wasn't us. Now you know.
See? It was just a prank.
Come on, bro. She works there. She's one of them.
Today we are at the Lord Shiva statue at CERN. This Shiva statue was actually a gift when India became an associate state member in 2017. And it's donated by the Department of Atomic Energy of Government of India. But many of you know that this was a gift from India, but why the statue of Lord Shiva? So, Carl Sagan was the first person to draw a metaphor between the dance of particles of the cosmic universe with the drawing of that crunch. So, Shiva is also known as cosmic dance, and that's why, with this metaphor, it's the perfect gift to the scientific laboratory of particles in it.
Seems like a logical explanation.
Nah, bro, she's a plant. They've already opened a portal.
There is something more supernatural on the drawing board at CERN than what is being admitted. Even Adam Barker of Tech Bubble wrote of CERN a while back that with the LHC, CERN are expecting to find other dimensions and open portals to these dimensions. If you have the image of Stargate in your head right now, you're spot on. That's what it said. One of CERN's goals is to recreate Jacob's Ladder, according to Barker, and to reopen a portal. Now, Sergio Bertolucci, who is the official director for research and scientific computing at CERN, he was asked a while back about this extra-dimensional doorway by The Register, which is a London and New York operated science and technology journal. And he didn't hesitate with an enlightening response. He said, yes, out of this door might come something, or we might send something through it. If their agenda is unrelated to Bible prophecy entirely, then what is it with all this mystical symbolism that they knowingly are associating themselves with?
I don't think they've opened the portal, mate.
Trust me, bro. They're talking to demons.
In the scientific world, it's this major scientific experiment colliding molecules and atoms, and this a collider, and it's helping us understand our origins. They believe just prior to the Big Bang. But for people like me and you and some others, and people who have talked to people who have been there, worked there, I'm not doubting that these scientific experiments are going on. But I have to go back to not really what is CERN, as much as why is CERN where it's at? And then you understand these people that are talking about ripping the veil, tapping into portals, opening up dimensions and so forth. Half of it's in Switzerland, half it's in France, but Switzerland is the main reason it's there, because in Switzerland you have Geneva, Switzerland. Geneva, Switzerland is, in my opinion, one of the most demonic portal places in the world.
Why is Geneva demonic?
Come on, bro. Why do you think the WEF's there?
There's a significant section of CERN that is built upon the St. Genus Poili, which is a commune in Ain, a department of France. In Roman times, the St. Genus Poili was called Apolliacum, but the town and a temple were dedicated there in ancient times to Apollyon, the destroyer, the Shiva Horus, if you will. Apollyon is also the angel of the bottomless pit, referred to in Revelation 9:11. And then there is a connection between CERN and the Gotthard Base Tunnel, the GBT, which is the world's deepest and longest tunnel system, consisting of two parallel passages, each moving in a single direction on a single track. The connection to the Large Hadron Collider has to be made primarily because of the bizarre opening ceremony that was live streamed to the entire world on June 1, 2016, that included this highly occult, demonic dance with characterization, beginning with a call to unite the religions of the world by conducting an interfaith blessing of the tunnel beside a statue of St. Barbara, the patron saint of miners. The tunnel ceremony was all about sex rights and rebirth, leading to a new world order that's a complete reversal of the Judeo-Christian design. This included the triple goddess and the horned god, along with human sacrifice and a return to pagan worship.
They all just reference this one ceremony.
One was enough, bro. They built it on an ancient temple.
Okay, folks, I've been to CERN. CERN is very, very weird. I was actually there a couple of years ago when Russ Dizdar was still alive, well before COVID. So we're there at CERN, and we're being taken by a docent who's like basically just parroting what he's been told to say. So we're in this place where the statue of Shiva. Shiva is the Indian god of death, basically the destroyer. And I look at the docent and I go, what's this doing here? He has no answer for it at all. Basically, here's the bottom line, and this is something that we need to really delve into here. CERN is built on the site of the ancient temple of Apollyon. Tom Horn, who passed away last year, very untimely, wrote about this. So CERN is at this ancient temple. They're going to open up and start using CERN and testing it the day of the eclipse. I mean, what are we looking at here? Is that deliberate? In my opinion, it's absolutely deliberate. Something is going on. Here's what I think is going on. The powers that be, are opening up CERN in coordination with the eclipse to open up a gateway, a portal. And that's what I think these sites really are all about.
Well, nothing happened on the eclipse.
It did, bro. They put us on another timeline.
Actually, CERN is dealing with radionuclear research. Right. It's nuclear research. But it is more than that, because there are lots of physicians, I know some, they're doing very strange experimentation. There are beings from portals coming in and out. It's physicists from the CERN who told me this.
They've testified to beings coming in and out of portals.
Yes, they have apparently in the bottom of the CERN this portal, this door where they are dealing with all the subatomic dimensions. They say there are 17 different dimensions of reality. That's what those physicists say. Some others say there are more dimensions. You know, they had a being, they did not tell me more, who came that doesn't resemble a human. And then they had another one, and they have because they left a scarf. They left a scarf. And now, when you look at what is going on in the CERN, there is a fight from some of the military agencies, intel. They say that there is a fight on time. They're trying to change time.
Why would they want to change time?
They want to change history, bro.
If you have been feeling like time has been moving very fast lately, you are not crazy. According to a recent report, Earth is now spinning faster than it used to, and clocks may even have to skip a second to keep up. Due to this strange event, for the first time ever, timekeepers and organizations are considering subtracting a second from all of their devices, which they're calling a negative leap second, just to make sure all these devices are in line with sun up and sun down. And they're planning on doing this around the year of 2029. Now, I've heard a few people talk about how they believe this may have something to do with CERN. And that's because every time they use their particle accelerator, people start reporting having strange dreams, disassociating with time, and having Mandela effects. Even during CERN's opening ceremony, you can see that they show a clock moving back and forth rapidly, which could be symbolic for whatever's making people feel strange about time currently. But this does remind me of a scripture in the Bible, specifically in Matthew, that talks about how the days will be shortened before the return of Christ for the sake of the elect. So maybe time moving faster is the beginning of our shortening of days. Now, obviously, I don't know for sure, neither about God's timing and plans for our immediate future or about whatever CERN is doing. But I do know that the spiritual war between good and evil is getting more intense daily.
He's right, bro.
Things have been on top lately.
This collider and these beings that they're in communication with. So we're talking about the premier scientists on planet Earth right now who are actively engaged, according to their own words, communicating with something with a personality, in their own words, from another dimension, and that's the purpose of the collider. I mean, people need to understand this is not science fiction. This is fact.
That's correct. What I write about in my novels,
right?
I place a storyline that is embedded with science fact. Everything that I present publicly in the books, public speaking, is all drawn from their own scientific journals and white papers. And then I'm able to see what they're doing. Not just extrapolate, but see in the real time what it is they're doing. Not a future agenda, but what they're doing right now today. The imminency of what they intend to do, which is opening this gateway.
Told you, bro. They're talking to demons.
It could be someone outside the simulation.
We know antimatter is real. We can actually...
What is antimatter?
I'm not a physicist, but antimatter is like the opposite of matter. And matter and...
nothing.
It's not nothing. I'm not qualified to answer the question, what is antimatter? I know it exists, and I know that we can create antimatter at CERN. We have created antimatter at CERN, but you know, it only exists for fractions of a second. I'm entirely persuaded that that there's an extraterrestrial component to this, and I'll tell you why. You're probably familiar with the testimony of Bob Lazar.
Yeah.
You know, Bob Lazar allegedly worked at the Nevada facility, the S4 facility by Groom Lake, and was involved in the reverse engineering program. He worked on a particular saucer that he denominates the sports model because it was sleek and it was functional, and his job in the program specifically was to work on the reactor. And according to Lazar, the reactor was a matter-antimatter reactor, and in order to function, it required a piece of exotic matter that was machined into a triangle, and that exotic matter is called, was called by Lazar, element 115.
You said Lazar was a plant.
He is, bro, but he's right about element 115.
Antimatter, that collision between matter and antimatter, that annihilation, that could be turned into a weapon. You can weaponize that if you can stabilize it, and that you can build antimatter bombs. Well, you know, I mentioned that CERN, the largest man-made machine on planet Earth, is a Large Hadron Collider in Geneva, in the CERN, and the Chinese are building one 10 times the size of that.
No, I didn't know that.
At least they were. They definitely were. I would assume that the project is still underway. And again, the CERN is the largest man-made machine on Earth. Chinese are building one 10 times larger. The objective of CERN, ostensibly, is they want to find out what happened at the Big Bang. Right? I went to CERN and talked to the physicists there, the particle physicists. And they want to know what happened at the Big Bang. They want to know how the universe came to be and all of that. The idea is to look back in time. But I don't think that's why the Chinese are building a particle.
Probably not.
An atom smasher that's 10 times the size of CERN. I think what they're after is antimatter weapons.
We're fucked, right?
They're not making a weapon. People just want to understand the universe.
You're saying that all the particles in the universe need to be held together by something, and this is the glue, if you will, that's holding everything together.
In a way, it's that you get mass. So these particles are solid because they're interacting with this stuff, except for light, which travels at the speed of light because it doesn't interact with it.
I'm fascinated by people that think on this level. For someone to conceptualize this and then set out to prove that it exists and then prove that it exists.
Well, this is the beautiful thing. So this is a prediction from the 1960s, a mathematical prediction. Then, about 10 years ago, we decided to build the biggest scientific experiment ever built, 16 miles in circumference underneath Geneva. We accelerate protons to 99.999999% the speed of light, at which speed they circumnavigate this ring 11,000 times
You
a
get
second.
them spinning around this ring really fast.
One the other way. We collide together, 600 million of these every second. In every collision, we create the conditions that were present less than a billionth of a second after the Big Bang. We take photographs of those 600 million collisions per second, and we find out this guy from 1965 was right.
This guy's definitely a plant, bro.
Yeah, it's a bit wet, but he clearly knows what he's talking about.
From the logo that shows us the 666 to weird doomsday dances about ritual sacrifices to having a statue of Shiva, the destroyer of the world, out front of their building. Always a suspect little outfit. Well, now they just got a little more sus because they pulled off the most great work that one could do, the alchemical turning of lead into gold. All right, because on May 7th, they published a paper in the Physical Review Journal reporting that they did some experiments that successfully transmuted lead into gold in the Large Hadron Collider. And it gets deeper than that. I'm going to read you the sort of like nerd talk, but we're going to go deeper into this a little bit. Their website, from the CERN website, it says, transforming the base metal lead into the precious metal gold was a dream of medieval alchemists. This long-standing quest, known as Chrysopoeia, which I'm probably mispronouncing, which I had to look at the word up. And I have a book called Real Alchemy, and it says that the Greeks called alchemy chemia. And it was actually a combination of the two words Chrysopoeia, which is what they say in the CERN article, mixed with agiropoeia, which means gold and silver making. Now you're probably asking like me, you're like, how? How did CERN turn lead into gold? Well, I'm going to tell you how, and it's not going to make sense to you because it doesn't make sense to me, or maybe you're way more intelligent than I am, which is probably true. The electromagnetic field emanating from a lead nucleus is particularly strong because the nucleus contains 82 protons, each carrying an elementary charge. To create gold, a nucleus containing 79 protons, 3 protons must be removed from the lead nucleus, and they do this in the Large Hadron Collider beams.
Turning lead into gold is insane.
It's black magic, bro.
That thing has officially turned lead into gold, which means we're back in medieval times. Pretty insane that they call it that, but wait until you see how far back this idea goes. There's a temple in India called Dilvara Temple. On the ceiling is one of the most wild carvings you will ever see in any temple. And there's not just one, there's a bunch of these things. They're the most intricate things you will ever see, and all of them are different. This one is absolutely massive. It's made of marble, it's 3D, and it's as detailed as a Gothic cathedral. This is the particle collider from the side. If you look straight through it, an outer circle and an inner circle. Look what happens when we use that inner circle with the Dilvara Temple ceiling. As an engineer myself, I was like, that's a dope coincidence. So I was trying to find what inspired them to carve something like that. If you dig deep enough, you'll discover that the quantum pioneers almost all studied the Hindu tradition. Schrödinger, heavily into Eastern mysticism. Bohr was deeply interested in Buddhist concepts that originated from Hindu philosophy. Heisenberg had frequent discussions with Rabindranath Tagore. He was the Da Vinci of Eastern philosophy. The most famous quote from Oppenheimer is from the Bhagavad Gita. Why? Well, the concepts are almost exactly the same. Collapsing the wave function, that's Purusha. This means consciousness builds the material world. The observer effect, where observing affects the outcome of an experiment, is the eternal witness in Vedic text. Just Google Sakshi. Non-locality or entanglement is the same as non-duality, the same thing that Schrödinger was studying. How? Superposition, particles existing in multiple states until measured, that is exactly the Atman. Okay, quantum field. It says even empty space isn't empty. Same exact thing as the Akash, it's the field that holds everything together. This one's my favorite, the multiverse theory. Infinite parallel realities. That is exactly how the lokas are defined in Vedic cosmology. Now, alchemy is an Arabic word. Alchem means of Egypt. Both of these cultures use a consciousness-first science. The reason why so many brilliant minds are into this stuff is because what they carved on the walls looks like what we're inventing today. Now we're in the age of decoding what's been right in front of us. Or is that awakening?
There's a lot we don't know about alchemy, bro. But we'll have to save that for next time.
Hold up, Ted, we've got to do the giveaway.
Leave a comment for a chance to win in our next episode. Let's do this, bro.
Bang, bang!
Blah, blah.
Pick something from our website and we'll send it straight out. A big thanks to all our channel members.
Join the Discord, bro. It's free.
And as always, thanks for watching. Remember to like, comment and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next one.